Good morning. This is Arvind. In the previous sections of chapter 1, we have discussed about object-oriented analysis and design complexity. And in chapter 2, we have discussed about the object model. Now in this session, we will discuss about classes and objects covered from the chapter 3 of object-oriented analysis and design with applications by Grade Booch. In this section of chapter 3, we will cover the following topics in detail: about classes and objects, the nature of objects, relationship among objects, the nature of classes, relationship among classes, interplay of classes and objects, identifying classes and objects, importance of proper classification, key abstraction and mechanism. In the previous sessions, we have discussed object-oriented analysis is a procedure of identifying software engineering requirements and developing software specification in terms of system software object model, and which comprises of interacting objects. The main difference between object-oriented analysis and other forms of analysis is that in object-oriented analysis, requirements are organized around the objects which integrate both data and functions. They are modeled after the real-world objects that system interacts with. Here, in this particular chapter, Grade Booch has defined object-oriented analysis as a method of analysis that examines requirements from the perspective of classes and objects found in the vocabulary of the problem domain. So the primary task in object-oriented analysis are to identify the objects, organize these objects by creating object model diagrams, and defining the internals of the object or object attributes, defining the behavior of the objects, that is, object actions, and describe how these objects interact. The concept of objects and classes are linked with each other and form the foundation for object-oriented paradigm. Here, an object is a real-world element in an object-oriented environment that may have a physical or a conceptual existence, and each object has an identity that distinguishes it from other objects in that system, and each object has a state that determines the characteristic properties of an object as well as the values of the properties that the object holds, and each object has the behavior that represents externally visible activities performed by an object in terms of changes in its state. Objects can be modeled according to the needs of the application. So, an object may have a physical existence like a customer, a car, etc., or an intangible conceptual existence like a project, a process, etc. Whereas a class represents collection of objects having same characteristic properties that exhibit common behavior. So it gives the blueprint or description of the objects that can be created from it. Creation of an object as a member of class is called instantiation. Thus, object is an instance of a class. The construction of a classes are a set of attributes for the object that are to be instantiated from the class, and a set of operations that portray the behavior of the object. The nature of objects. Here, an object can be any of the following, whether it can be tangible or a visible thing, or the object represents an individual identifiable item or an entity as a real world or an abstract with a well-defined role in the problem domain. Objects has state, behavior and identity. The structure and behaviors are similar of the similar objects are defined on their common class. Here the term instant and objects are interchangeable. Whereas coming to the state of an object encompasses all of the properties of the object plus the current, usually the dynamic values of each of these property. Consider a vending machine that dispenses soft drinks. The usual behavior of such object is that when someone puts money in the slot and push a button to make a selection, then the drink comes from the machine. Suppose what happens if we first make a selection and then put money in the slot? In most of the vending machines, it just be idle or it does not do anything because the user has violated the basic assumptions of the operation. So this kind of things we generally observe with the ATM machines. When it asks for a password, we press something. So what happens? It does not perform any action. So again, we need to do it from the starting. Whereas coming to the behavior is how an object acts and reacts. In terms of its state, changeable state of state, or the object affects its behavior. If we take the same example of the vending machine, if we don't deposit a change sufficient for our selection, then the machine will probably do nothing. So the behavior of an object is a function of its state as well as the operation performed upon it. So here, the state of an object represents the cumulative results of its behavior. An operation is some action that an object performs on another in order to elicit a reaction. For example, a client might invoke the operation append and pop to grow and shrink the queue object respectively. And a client might also invoke the operation length, which returns a value denoting the size of the queue object. But this does not alter the state of the queue itself. Therefore, message passing is one part of the equation that defines the behavior of the object. Now coming to operations. An operation denotes a service that a class offers to its client. A client performs 5 kinds of operations upon an object. In practice, we can observe that a client performs these 5 kinds of operations on an object. And the 3 most common kinds of operations are the following. First one is modifier. So here the operation that alters the state of an object. Coming to selector, an operation that accesses the state of an object but does not alter the state. Whereas coming to initiator, here an operation that permits all parts of an object to be accessed in some well-defined order. Let us take the same Q example up. Here the operations we can perform are clear, append, pop, remove, which are modifiers. Whereas in constant functions, we use length, isempty, front location, which are called selectors. So there are two kinds of operations which are common. They represent the infrastructure necessary to create and destroy the instances of a class. One is constructor, the other one is a destructor. Here, constructor is an operation that creates an object or initialize the state. Whereas the destructor is an operation that frees the state of an object or destroys the object itself. Coming to C++, constructors and destructors are declared as part of the definition of a class. Whereas in Java, there are constructors, but there are no destructors. In case of Smalltalk, such operations are typically part of the protocol of a meta class. Now coming to identity, identity is the property of an object which distinguishes it from all other objects. They go on to note that most programming and database languages use variable names to distinguish temporary objects, mixing addressability and identity. And most database systems use identifier keys to distinguish persistent objects, mixing data value and identity. The failure of recognizing the difference between the name of an object and the object itself is the source of many kinds of errors in object-oriented programming. Now, let us see the roles and responsibility. So, a role is a mask that an object wears, and so defines a contrast between the abstraction and its clients. Whereas responsibilities are meant to convey the sense of the purpose of an object and its place in the system. The responsibility of an object are all the services it provides for all of the contracts it supports. So here the state and behavior of an object collectively define the roles that an object may play in the world, which in turn fulfills the abstraction responsibilities. Indeed, most interesting objects play many different roles during their lifetime. For example, a bank account may have a role of a monetary asset to which the account owner may deposit or withdraw the money. However, to a taxing authority, the account may play the role of an entity whose dividends must be reported on annually. Whereas to a trader, a share of stock represents an entity with values that may be bought or sold. To a lawyer, the same share denotes a legal instrument for which are attached to certain rights. So in course of a day, the same person may play the role of mother, doctor, or a guardian, or a movie critic. Objects as machines. So the existence of a state within an object means that the order in which the operations are involved to improve. This gives rise to the idea that each object is a tiny independent machine. So constructing a machine metaphor, we may classify objects as either active or passive. An active object is one that encompasses its own thread of control, whereas a passive object does not. Active objects are generally autonomous, meaning that they can show some behavior without being operated upon by another object. Whereas passive objects, on the other hand, can only undergo the state change when explicitly accepted upon. Relationship among objects. Here, the objects contribute to the behavior of a system by collaborating with one another. The relationship between any two objects encompasses the assumption that each makes about the other, including what operations can be performed. Here, there are two kinds of object relationships. First one, links, and the second one, aggregations. Coming to the first one, links. A link denotes the specific association through which one object, that is the client, applies the services of another object, that is supplier. The line between these two object icons represents the existence of paths along this path. Here, the messages are shown as directed lines representing the direction of the message passing between these two objects. As a participation in a link, an object may play one of these three roles: controller, server, proxy. So what is controller? Here, this object can operate on other objects, but is not operated on by other objects. Whereas coming to servers, these objects does not operate on other objects. It is only operated on by the other objects. And in proxy, this object can both operate on other objects and be operated on by other objects. So, a proxy is usually created to represent real-world objects in the domain of application. Coming to visibility, let us consider two objects A and B with a line between the two. In order for A to send a message to the object B, B must be visible to A. So here, there are four ways of visibility. First one, the supplier object is global to the client. In the second, the supplier object is logically declared object in some operations of the client. In third, the supplier object is part of the client object. And in fourth, the supplier object is a program to some operation of the client. Whereas coming to synchronization, whenever one object passes a message to another across a link, then the two objects are said to be synchronized. Then we must choose one of these approaches for synchronization: sequential, guarded, concurrency. Coming to sequential, here the semantics of the passive objects are guaranteed only in the presence of single active object at a time. Whereas coming to guarded, the semantics of the passive objects are guaranteed only in the presence of multiple threads of control. But the active client must collaborate to achieve mutual exclusion. Whereas coming to concurrency, the semantics of the passive objects are guaranteed in the presence of multiple threads of control, and the supplier guarantees the mutual exclusion. So here, sequential is in the presence of single active object at a time, whereas guarded and concurrency are for multiple threads of control. Whereas guarded, the active client must collaborate to achieve the mutual exclusion. Coming to concurrency, the supplier guarantees the mutual exclusion. Now, coming to aggregation, whereas in links, it denotes a peer-to-peer or client-supplier relationships. But aggregations denote a whole part hierarchy with the ability to navigate from the whole of its parts. In this sense, aggregation is a specialized kind of association. For example, here, the object temperature controller has a link to the object temporary ramp and as well as to the attribute. Here you can see the attribute. So this is the symbol for the attribute H, whose class is a heater. So the object temporary controller is thus the whole, and attribute H is one of its part. Here, a class is a set of objects that share a common structure, common behavior, and common semantics. A single object is simply an instance of a class. So, an object is a concrete entity that exists in time and space, but classes represent only an abstraction. A class may be an object, but the object is not a class. Here, coming to interface and implementation, the interface of a class provides its outside view, and therefore it emphasizes the abstraction while hiding its structure and secret of behavior. So the interface primarily consists of the declaration of all the operations applicable to the instance of this class, but it may also include the declaration of other classes, constant variables, and expectations as needed to complete the abstraction. Whereas the implementation of a class is the inside view, which encompasses the secret of its behavior. So here, the interface is an outside view and the implementation is an inside view. What interface do? Interface hides the structure and secrets of the behavior, whereas the implementation encompasses the secrets of its behavior. So the implementation of a class consists of the classes, and the interface of a class is divided into the following four parts: public, protected, private, package. Public, a declaration that is accessible to all clients. Protected, a declaration that is accessible only to the classes itself and its subclasses. If we declare it as a private, a declaration that is accessible only to the class itself. Whereas if we are declaring it as a package, a declaration that is accessible only by the classes in the same package. Relationship among the classes. We establish relationships between the two classes for one of the two reasons. First, a class relationship might indicate some kind of sharing. Second, a class relationship might indicate some kind of semantic connection. There are three basic kinds of class relationships. They are association, aggregation, inheritance, or generalization. Here, association, which denotes the semantic dependencies among unrelated classes, and the symbol for association is like this. Whereas generalization or specification, which is also called as inheritance, denotes is a relationship, and the symbol is represented like this. So, whereas aggregation is whole or part of relationship, and the symbol for aggregation is like this. Okay, now let us see association. So, an association is a structural relationship that describes the set of links, a link being connection among the objects. Of the different types of class relationship, associations are the most general. The identification of association among the classes is describing how many classes or objects are taking part in that particular relationship. Whereas coming to multiplicity or cardinality, the multiplicity denotes the cardinality of the association. There are three common kinds of multiplicity across an association: one to one, one to many, and many to many. Next, inheritance. Inheritance, perhaps the most semantically interesting of concrete relationships, exists to express generalization or specialization relationships. Inheritance is a relationship among classes wherein one class shares the structure or behavior defined in one or more other classes. Inheritance means that subclasses inherit the structure of their superclass. Here, single inheritance means the derived class having only one base class is called single inheritance. It is a relationship among classes wherein one class shares the structure or behavior defined on one class. Whereas coming to multiple inheritance, the derived class having more than one base class is known as multiple inheritance. It is a relationship among classes wherein one class shares the structure and behavior defined in more classes. Coming to polymorphism, it is an ability to make more than one form. It is a concept in type theory wherein a name may denote instances of many different classes as long as they are related by common superclasses. It is an operation that can be implemented differently by the classes in the hierarchy. Whereas coming to aggregation, aggregation is a special kind of association representing a structural relationship between the whole of its parts. Aggregation relationship among classes have a directly parallel to aggregation relationships among the objects corresponding to these classes. Coming to physical containment, the lifetime of two objects are intimately connected. Using shows a relationship between classes in which one class uses certain services of another class in variety of ways. Using relationship is equivalent to an association. Installation, the process of creating a new object, is referred to as installation. Genericity, so the possibility for a language to provide parameterized modules or types. Here there are four basic ways of genericity. One is use of macros, building heterogeneous classes, using parameterized classes, which must be initiated before the objects can be created, or by building generalized constraint classes, which are strongly supported inheritance but does not support any form of parameterized classes. And meta classes next. So meta class is a class whose instances are themselves classes. It is used to provide class variables and operations for initializing class variables and for creating the meta class single instances. Now, let us see the class diagram for library management. Here, the library management system class diagram describes the structure of library management system classes, their attributes, operations or methods of the relationship among the objects. The main class of library management system are students, books, issues, librarian, member class, members, and address. So here, coming to classes, we have student class, books class, issue class, librarian class, member class, and address class. So the student classes manage all operations of students, whereas books class manages all operations of books, and issue class manages all operations of issues. The librarian class manages all operations of librarian, and the member class manages all operations of the members, and the address class manages all operations of the address. Here, let us see what are the classes and their attributes and what are the classes and their methods. Here, the attributes are represented in the first box and the methods are represented in the second box. So here the student attributes are student ID, student name, student mobile, student email, student address, student username, student password, and student college ID. Whereas coming to books class, the books class attributes are book ID, book name, book type, book description, book date, and book student. Coming to issue class, issue ID, issue renewal, issue description, issue expiry, issue date, issue book ID, and issue student ID. These are all called as an attributes. So here coming to the methods, for example, if you take, these are all the attributes and these are the methods. So in a student class, we have add student, edit student. So all these 4 different functions are the methods what we are going to use in the student class. So add student function, edit student function, delete student function, search student function. So all these are methods. Coming to books class, the methods are add book, edit book, delete book, search book. Coming to address class, the methods are add address, edit address, delete address, search address. So like this, we have for every class, we have the attributes and the methods. Attributes are represented in the first box and methods are represented in the second box. Interplay of classes and objects. So classes and objects are separate yet intimately a related concept. Especially every object is the instance of some class and every class has 0 or more instances. For all application, classes are static. Therefore, their existence, semantics and relationships are fixed prior to the execution of the program. Similarly, the classes of most objects is static, meaning that once an object is created, its class is fixed. Whereas objects are typically created and destroyed at a furious rate during the lifetime of an application. Now let us see identifying classes and objects. So here the problem of classification has been the concern for countless philosophers, linguistics, scientists, mathematicians since before the time of Plato. It is reasonable to study their experiences and apply what we learn to object-oriented design. Historically, there have been only 3 general approaches to classification. One is classical categorization, conceptual clustering, prototype theory. So let us say what is classical categorization. In this approach, all the entities that have a given property or collection of properties in common form a category. Such properties are necessary and sufficient to define the category. For example, married people constitute one category. One is either a married or not. And the value of this property is sufficient to decide which group a particular person belongs. So classical categorization comes to us first from Plato and then from Aristotle through his classification of plants and animals. The classical approach to categorization is also reflected in modern theories of child development. Coming to conceptual clustering. Conceptual clustering is a more modern variation of the classical approach. and largely derives from the attempts to explain how knowledge is represented. In this approach, classes are generated by first formulating conceptual descriptions of classes and then classifying the entities according to the descriptions. So conceptual clustering is clearly related to the fuzzy set theory, in which objects may belong to one or more groups in varying degree of fitness. Conceptual clustering makes absolute judgments of classification by focusing on best fit. Coming to prototype theory, classical categorization and conceptual clustering are sufficiently expensive to account for most of the classifications we needed in the design of complex software systems. So this leads us to prototype theory. In prototype theory, we group things according to the degree of their relationship to conduct a prototype. Identifying classes and objects. Object-oriented analysis, first one. So in analysis, we try to discover the classes and objects that comprise the vocabulary of the problem domain. So a number of approaches have been used in carrying out this particular task. Whereas coming to classical approach, it is one of the approaches for analysis which derive primarily from the principles of classical categorization. Here, the classes and objects may come from the following sources: tangible things, cars, pressure sensors, or they can come from roles: mother, teacher, politician, or they can be events: landing, interrupt, so on. Or they can be interactions, like interactions means meetings. So from the perspective of database modeling, Rose offered the following list: people who may carry out some functions, places, here you can see places, areas set for people or things, physical objects which are tangible, concepts are nothing but ideas, events are nothing but the things that happen, and organization. Similarly, Card and Eudron suggested another set of sources for potential objects like structures, denses, events remembered, which can be historical events, roles played, locations, organizational units, so on. Behavior analysis. Coming to behavioral analysis, dynamic behavior also be one of the primary source of analysis of classes and objects. Here, things can be grouped that have common responsibilities and from hierarchy of classes. Here, system behavior of systems are observed. Whereas coming to domain analysis seeks to identify the classes and objects that are common to all applications within a given domain, such as patient record tracking, compilers, missile systems, etc. So domain analysis defines as an attempt to identify the objects, operations, and relationships that are important to a particular domain. Coming to use case analysis, the earlier approaches, behavioral analysis or domain analysis, requires experience on part of the analyst. Such a process is neither deterministic nor predictably successful. So it is used to identify an object that participates in the scenarios, relationships of each object, and object collaborations with other objects in terms of operations. Coming to CRC cards, class responsibility collaborations cards. It is a tool that facilitates training and enhances communication among the developers, upon which analysis with the name of class, its responsibilities, and its collaborations. One card is created for each class identified as a relevant to the scenario. Here, CRC cards are arranged to represent generalization or specialization or aggregation hierarchies among the classes. Coming to structured analysis. Structured analysis is a technique that has been used to develop programs using the concepts of structured programming, which, as we have previously noted, has a procedural basis. Besides, we have some more approaches like vertical domain analysis, horizontal domain analysis, information engineering descriptions, so on. Importance of proper classification. So the identification of a class and an object is a challenging part of object-oriented analysis and design. We can see here, identification involves both discovery and invention. Through discovery, we come to recognize the key abstractions and mechanisms that form a vocabulary of our problem domain. Through inventions, we generalize the abstractions as well as new mechanisms that specify how the objects collaborate. Ultimately, these both discovery and inventions are good problems of classification. And intelligent classification is actually a part of good science. Key abstractions and mechanisms. A key abstraction is a class or object that forms the part of the vocabulary of problem domain. The primary value of identifying such abstractions is that they give boundaries to our problem. Here, refinement of key abstraction. Once we identify the key abstractions as a candidate, then we need to evaluate it by how the objects and classes are created. Can the objects of these classes copied or destroyed? What operations can be done on such objects? Then we need to name the things properly. So naming conventions are used for naming the things properly. They can be objects. We can take them as proper nouns. If they are classes, we use common nouns. For modifiers, we use active work. For sectors, work in the form of to be. So here we need to identify the mechanism for naming conventions. So the mechanism, it is a process of designing patterns of a behavior by using mechanical linking, electronic linking, or no linking. Thank you. Thank you very much.